Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Making Sense of It All series, Professional at Anything But Golf, with my co host, Wes Altus. As we continue down the road with this journey, I have somebody on the show this week that is anything but that. He is a PGA Tour and PGA Champions Tour golfer, Len Mattiace. Len, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Great to be with you guys. Wes, good to be with you. And I'm excited to be here and talk about whatever.
Awesome. So, one of the things you were one of my first guests when I actually launched the podcast. If people want to check out the episode, it was episode 11 that we did in season 1, where we talked a lot about your foundation and we talked a lot about the Stop the Bullying campaign that you guys do. Before we jump into anything golf wise, I wanted to see if you guys have any updates, anything you'd like to share with the foundation.
Well, thanks. I can't believe it now. Within the foundation, our Stop the Bullying campaign has now 6 years in, and we are in 3 counties. So we've grown over the last couple of years. All volunteer work, 100% support with Duval County, Clay County, and St. Johns County. So that's really nice that the superintendent's office like what we do. We partner with the counties, and our Stop the Bullying campaign is focused on middle school students. So 50 middle schools in all, and we run in the fall and in the spring. We challenge the students to do stop bullying projects with whatever they want to create, and some of these projects are incredible. Throughout the community, they really they'll get their neighborhoods involved. They'll get their grade involved. Some of them do them on their own, and it really changes the environment of the school. We go in and we look at all the different projects. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of kids are doing these projects, and we award the top of the top, and we go right into the classrooms and award the kids really nice prizes, sometimes nice checks. Some of the winners for the top of the counties, they win $1,000. And that's all thanks to our corporate sponsors that can donate and appreciate what we're doing. So we're really proud of the work that we're doing. We're trying to change that environment in the school. And just if we can stop a few kids from bullying, it's going to make all the difference.
No doubt. I think what you guys do is fantastic. You have a lot of events that you have that go through the year as well. So people, if they want to be a part of what you guys are doing, if they want to kind of support it, and if they want to have a little fun doing it, you guys have a tremendous amount of events that you guys do throughout the year. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. We have end of October, we have this Birdies and Booze event. I mean, it's a great event. We partner with the Legs group. So the Ladies Executive Golf Society, we've been doing it now almost 7 years at Queens Harbor. That's October 30. They can go on our website or lenmattiace.com or the Legs Ladies Executive Golf Society website. They can sign up. You can be an individual, you can be a group, and it's a lot of fun. The beauty about this is it's only 9 holes, and then the fun is inside the clubhouse after the golf. But every group, you can play with a junior golfer, and all the money raised goes to the first tee of North Florida. So it's a win-win all around. And then in February, we have a brand new event for us. It's called Lend a Hand, and that's part of our motto: lend a hand, make a difference. That'll be at Stillwater. It's an 18-hole golf charity event. The money goes to the foundation. And again, all the things that we do, it's 100%. There's no administration costs. There's no brick and mortar. There's no salaries. The money that we raise goes back into the kids' program. So I'm really proud about that. A lot of the charities, they might have a 50, 60, 70%, rate back to the thing. But we're all in. So look for us and be part of what we're doing.
That's fantastic. So what are you going to be for Halloween? What are you dressing up as for the event? Do you know yet?
I always have some kind of cool T-shirt. You know what I mean? It's got 5 goblins and ghosts on there, but somewhere there's a birdie maker in there, always making birdies. So
nice.
That's fun. And hopefully the weather's good. Queens Harbor does a great job, and it's a lot of fun. Everyone dresses up, and we throw in 9 holes as well.
Very cool. All right, so let's jump into it. We're going to talk a little bit about amateur golfers and your interaction with them and what you see. I figured there's nobody better than yourself for this. So where do you interact most with amateur golfers these days? Is it during Pro-Ams? Is it just on weekday rounds? When is it that you interact the most?
for right now, for me, I have a mixed kind of bag because I'm playing a lot of casual rounds at home at TPC. And a lot of times I'll play with my friends, I'll play with members at the club. So I see that part. But, and then occasional pro-am. But forever in my career, I mean, 30 years in my career, I've played roughly 30 pro-ams each year. I mean, we're talking almost 1,000 pro-ams in my life, times 4 amateurs. So in competition to see 4 or 5,000 amateurs play and compete, I definitely get to see patterns for sure
I'm
of
sure you do.
what the commonalities are. You know what I mean? Some good stuff and then some not so good stuff.
So
Yeah.
let's jump right into that. What is it then? What is it? What is that most common error, most common mistake that you see golfers like me making?
I would say, well, in the pro-ams, you know, like you're going to be playing in that Furyk and Friends event, right? In the pro-am. And you might get paired with Jim Furyk, Vijay Singh, Miguel Jimenez, Steve Stricker.
Might ruin their day.
I mean, well, that goes without saying. But what you might see, typical, you probably not, because you're a pretty cool cat. 80-90% of the golfers are so hyped up because of the environment. They're playing a tour course. A lot of people are out there. They want to play well. The want factor is really high. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. So the first 4, 5, 6 holes, they're uptight, they're nervous, and they don't play to their performance. And then at some point they just, I can't, I just got to relax. And then they have a good time. So I would say first and foremost, acknowledge that if you're a 10 handicap, you're a 10 handicap and you're going to hit some good shots. You're going to hit some bad shots. But that kind of a day is a team day, including us. When we go play a pro-am, it's a team event. So if you have a bad hole, you don't have to count your score. Your individual score doesn't matter. So kind of relax, take it easy, enjoy the round, ask some questions, get engaged to not only the group, but the pro as well. And that'll probably get you into the best flow possible.
Yeah, that's really good stuff there for people that get uptight. I guess kind of the big thing is, with our demographic is, they want to be consistent, right? Oh, I'm coming in, I'm not consistent. When you see that kind of stuff, or you hear that thing, what's kind of the first go-to thing do you kind of look for in that type of player to start improving?
That they can be more consistent at?
Yeah, because I'll get the people that come in, they're like, all right, so what are you here for? Oh, I'm just inconsistent. And that can mean a lot of things. I know for me personally, it's where they're controlling, contact on the face and how the club's interacting with the ground. So just kind of curious if that's something similar you see in the pro-ams, throughout your career.
I would say most amateur golfers don't really pay attention to their missed hits. So, for example, someone might say, "I'm inconsistent all the time," and then if they actually charted their shots, and it could be just like a little tick on the scorecard, like an arrow left or an arrow right. Someone might say, "I'm hitting it left," but they slice the ball all the time, but they hit 2 shots left, and that's a problem. Yep. So I think to diagnose exactly what's going on, not many people are doing that. So they throw the inconsistent word out, but they can't really tell you what's going on. And if they tell you what's going on, they don't really know. And that's where they should get instruction. I would say the missed hits are a big thing, like you're saying, the missed hits. But I would say charting the stuff, and then you see a lot of the missed hits, like a lot of heavies, a lot of fats, or a lot of top shots.
Correct.
So once you can kind of see exactly what the biggest problem is in a game, then you can attack it with an instruction standpoint.
Yeah, that's a wonderful point. I wish more people would just something that simple. I mean, there are, programs out there like Arcos and stuff like that. It makes it easier on the player. But yeah, most people, I kind of say they're kind of like a 2-year-old. They'll cry and stuff because they don't know. They can't tell you exactly what's wrong, but something's wrong. And so that's where it kind of comes in. Be like, all right, well, let's really dive down. Like if you're setting up to a shot, like what's the thing you fear the most? Then that tends to start bringing some things out. Or what's the one shot you want to disappear right now if I gave you one wish? And that
Right.
kind of helps them get in that mindset of really thinking about their shot pattern more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say performance wise, from what I've seen in all the pro-ams, most amateurs don't take enough club. I would say 80-90% of the shots are that come up short of the green. So we see that as a pattern as well. So maybe just take one more club. Definitely ball contact is everything, but probably one more club and you'll be around the green more often than not.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
agree. I agree.
You,
Like I always tell players to take, if they're keeping track, be proud of hitting the ball over the green in regulation a couple times because that means you're hitting it solid. Yeah, you have
Right.
one extra club, but you're not short because that tends to be where a lot of the trouble is. Right-handed player, their pattern is going to be short right, long left. So I'm like, yeah, I want to see how many greens in regulation. When you hit a good shot, you hit over the green. That means you're actually making good contact.
You don't see often people over the green,
No.
that might entail like a big skull job, a big spin job that sails 30 yards over the green, but a real solid shot, you don't really normally see that.
No.
So if you're talking to an amateur about somebody who hasn't had the opportunity to play in a pro-am, but they want to, it's something that's kind of on their bucket list. Like what are things that they can do to make it more fun for the pro too? Because to your point, I know that people get in their own head and they focus on their own game, or they whether they're they're going to do well or do poorly. But it's just like, to me, I think about it, it's like playing with your friends or playing with anybody. You want it to be an enjoyable time out there for everybody that's around you.
Right. I would say if someone's thinking about should they play in a pro-am, it could even be a local pro-am with your PGA Pro,
Yeah.
or if you want to step it up, as far as visibility and get into some pro event like the Furyk and Friends coming up. It's an incredible experience. You know what I mean? Like they give you a lot of stuff. They give you tickets. You get stuff. You get like the concert in addition. You'll get to meet pros. You'll be on the putting green with Hall of Fame golfers, and that's priceless. I would say the biggest thing is to go up to the pro and ask them questions that they don't normally get asked. So, for example, what is the one, like, I'll just throw something out. If Jesse, you came up and we never met, and you came
Sure.
up to me and said, "Len, great to meet you. I need to ask you, what's probably the one thing that you are working on in the off season?
Right.
What's something that what's the one shot that if you could have back you'd like to have over? Or what's your biggest triumph other than winning? You know what I mean? Like, because you can look up the wins, but like, what's your triumph? You know what I mean? One of my triumphs would have been like making a cut, because I was 2 or 3 out with like 3 holes to go on a
Right.
Friday afternoon, and I happened to go like birdie, par, birdie, and I made the cut, and that was like, you know what I mean? That's like one of those, like, that's huge. So something engaging that they don't normally get asked, that pro will remember that question and that player that person for a long time.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great because I think people kind of get in their own head and they start focusing all on themselves rather than, whether it's that they're nervous or that they are that self-centered, one or the other, but they really do just they
The whole thing.
so bound up
I
with
mean,
themselves.
the whole thing's a little overwhelming, and it's
Right.
like if I had some batting practice with some major league, MLB player, you know what I mean, to go into a stadium and to maybe go through the locker room and then be on the field with 40 baseball players, it's overwhelming. But to enjoy it, I think that just kind of know that basically you're give or take 5 handicap, 10 handicap, 20 handicap, doesn't matter. Just kind of know that you're the amateur golfer and enjoy the experience, embrace it, and then ask that professional player kind of a 1 or 2 engaging questions that they've never been asked before.
I think that's fantastic. If you had to tell somebody to practice one thing, and I mean, people that are professional in anything but golf, they don't have the time, to put into the game that say you do, or anybody who's an aspiring professional or an aspiring collegiate player. But if you had something to practice, what would you say it is? Where would you spend your time?
That's a great question. I would say one or two things. I would say if you're inside, I would say as long as you're safe,
Full swings in the living room?
have a high ceiling, of course, swings in the living room. But whether you're inside or outside, if you can take 10 swings in a row, 10 swings, that's going to increase your flexibility. It's going to increase your rhythm because a lot of people are very analytical and they think they have a lot of thoughts going on because of what they've been trying to accomplish. The 10 swings in fluid motion kind of get the club naturally swinging on some type of a good path, and it's fun to do. So you can do that inside or outside. If someone's like they're going to the golf course and they're they're running a little late, they don't have much time, they're not going to hit balls. That's a great thing to do. Swing a 5-iron or a driver or a 3-wood 10 to 15 times in a row. That's incredible warm up. I mean, that's as good as that's as good as going out and hitting balls, really.
So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Sorry, Jesse.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we all seen it. Guys are pulling up to the tee box straight out of the trunk of the car. So even while the other players are hitting, I always tell people just do something to move and get the blood flowing a little bit. Because the worst thing you do is step up to the first tee. You got drive in your hand and you're trying to take a full rip. It usually doesn't end up very well for most people. They'll get the one lucky shot here and there. That, or if they have to take a shot of something to get their blood going, whatever. But do something to get moving and get yourself. At least you have a fighting chance, because it'll take you 3 or 4 holes just to get somewhat loose if you're just jumping from the car to the course.
Yeah, I mean, usually people are doing everything but a golf swing. A golf swing is so abnormal, so now they're going to the golf course. They're excited about some recreation and actually, playing and hitting shots and having that whole experience. I would say those 10 swings in a row with a club, continuous motion in a safe space. And I think you'll kind of get in a groove that way. You'll warm up your body, like you're saying, Wes. You get like a little movement, and you're probably ready to go after that.
Yeah,
I would say hitting balls, like as far as literally hitting swing wise, what I would recommend someone do is to take like a 6-iron, a 7-iron, and do half swings.
Mm-hmm.
And those half swings, Wes knows that, like all very well teaching. But the half swings actually then bring it down to like a chipping or pitching, which is really important in golf as well. Yep. So not only are you working on your swing, you're working on contact. You've kind of lowered it to where you're not so target oriented and can I hit that 7-iron 150, 60 yards or whatever it is? You're not distance oriented. You have a good chance of making good contact. You're shortening the swing. There's a lot of added value to maybe hitting like 20 of those shots with like half swing feels. And a lot of people, their half swing is like almost full swing.
Oh yeah, so especially when you show it to someone on video, like, all right, I just want you to do half. And like, oh my God, that's my full swing. I'm like, yeah, can you imagine what your full swing looks like?
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I always kind of tell them when they're doing the half swings, I'm like, especially if you're working on something specific, is like, do it at a speed where you can do the new move right, or at least that way you can start getting content, and then we can build up from there. So it's a really good, thing. Half swing, control it, and they'll do like 50 times better anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I would say for the really advanced golfer, okay, like a scratch golfer, I would challenge them to work the ball both ways, because when you're able to do that, then you have a self-coaching aspect of I can really fade the ball, but I cannot draw the ball. So that might be valuable out on the golf course. You know what I mean? Like you know that you can fade it, so you might do that shot shape instead of a draw. Or it'll challenge somebody to work it both ways. That'll make the game easier and more pleasurable. So there's a lot of good things. And then technically in the swing plane, if they can work it both ways, they are very like sound mechanically because they're in control of their path and their blade. So for the outstanding golfers, I would challenge them to practice doing both. Taking a 6-iron or a driver, and can you fade it? Can you draw it? And then you kind of, it's like going out on a date. You kind of like get to know a little bit better. What's going on, and I should stay away from that, but I'm going to go towards that.
I've got an edit button. We can go as far as you want to go, Len.
Everybody can relate to that. So that's what golf's all about.
What about from an equipment standpoint? I know it's like a super general question, but is there anything as far as like with technology that's been, I mean, there's so many advancements in technology in today's game versus say 20, 30 years ago. Is there anything that you notice that you feel is like one of the thing that has helped amateur golfers more than another?
Well, I play Callaway clubs, so absolutely Callaway's the way to go.
But well done.
And I would say, and right, Wes, Callaway's all around Top Golf. So you got to go to Top Golf. Love Top Golf. Yeah.
We can have you try the new stuff.
The platinum, be a platinum member of Top Golf, and you'll hit the best clubs you can find.
That's right. That is
so. I would say nowadays companies have gotten smart because the hybrids came out, wildfire, and hybrids are great, but they've also come out on top of that with the 5-wood and the 7-wood and the 9-wood, and those are great too. So I think you can't go wrong with having maybe a couple of hybrids in your bag. I actually prefer the 5-wood and 7-wood over hybrids, and that's all personal preference of what you're looking down at to what you like. But all the irons, are fantastic. If you go in and the different companies offer a variety of game improvement irons, like the bigger heads compared to the skinnier heads, there's all kinds of options. I think golf equipment now is tremendous, for people to go buy, and you can go test it. You can go and get it. You can get a fitting and get tested and dial in your game really good, so you feel great about your equipment. So there's all kinds of options that people have now.
That's the biggest. Sure. The biggest thing that I hear from yourself, and even when Wes and I talk about it, is it's one of those things where you want to get it sound, get it to where you're confident in it, and get it off the plate. Stop thinking about it. Go out and play the game.
Yeah, I have a putter that I have over 10 years putter. I love my putter, and my driver's 3 or 4 years, which I think is kind of a long time for a pro to have the same driver.
No.
And but yeah, as for the casual golfer, if you like your equipment, stick with it. And I would say invest a little bit of money into lessons. Kind of dive into that. I know it's another expense, but once you have your equipment set, I would kind of get a lesson every so often, because that instructor will challenge you in different ways, and very likely you'll be a better golfer for it. So I would highly recommend that.
Wes, do you have any opinion on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, lessons every week, every other day Yeah, but I think it's also interesting. People think a 700 driver is going to fix their game too. So yeah, I would be like, hey, get some lessons first. Make sure your swing isn't terrible, and get it kind of dialed in. And that way, when you go to get fit for the club as well, it can help you straighten out a little bit of the curve. It can help you with what you're doing and not be the end all be all. Because if you're swinging 14 degrees across it with a 10-degree open face, there's not a driver on the planet that's going to straighten that out.
Definitely. Great advice. If you have a recipe pot of your golf expense or golf game, I would put a lot heavier on the instruction than the equipment for casual golfer.
Yeah, I think that's usually a great point.
Yeah, usually you can kind of get away with your equipment just as long as it's not overly too flexible or too stiff. But with the lie angles and loss, you can adjust those as you get better before you really take that big investment into the clubs.
Yeah.
Fair. Sure. What about fitness? As far as, I mean, when you're looking at somebody's, their fitness, I know that as you get into the professional game, And as you're looking to maybe go towards that, even as like a collegiate player, you're going to specialize your fitness. But for that average guy out there or that average woman, what do you recommend?
Well, that's a great. Everybody's at a different level, you know. So, I think you pay attention to where you are. So, for example, somebody could be outstanding fitness, but they could be a 30 handicap golfer.
Sure.
So the fitness portion, it's not that important to where literally trying to learn the skills of golf. I think most people, and Wes, catch me if I'm wrong here, but most people live in that range of say 15, 20 handicap, 10 to 20 handicap, and average condition. You know, golfers in general are more fit than non-golfers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like you see people like 50, 60, 70 years old, 80 years old playing golf, and you compare that, you know, with the non-golfers. I mean, they blow them away as far as the health, what the game does for your health.
Right.
So I would say just pay attention to where you are at, and a little bit of physical regimen is definitely a good thing. I would say overall, in general, stretching is the biggest thing. If I had, because you got your cardio, you got your strength, and you got your stretching.
Sure.
I would say if you could only do one, do the stretching. Look at some different stretches, and maybe throw in like 4 stretches one day, and then 4 different stretches another day. And if you had to focus on one, that's what I would recommend people to do. If they wanted to kind of if they wanted to transfer that over into golf, if in their golf game. Now, if someone's like, hey, I want to hit the ball 30 yards further, you know what I mean? And I've got 4 months to do it, and that's their plan, then the whole recipe is in play. You got to stretch, you got to increase your strength, you got to increase your speed, you got to increase your technique. Everything's in play. But for general, to well-being, enjoy the game, maybe get a little bit better, stretching's the way to go.
I think that's very fair. I mean, the guys that I work around, that I go play golf with, I mean, if people sit at a desk all day long, I mean, their hips get super tight. It's, they've got this picture of themselves with what they were when they were 25, and then they go out on the golf course at 40 or 45, and all of a sudden they're surprised because they can't make a full backswing, or they can't, they get stuck on the way down, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
the backswings definitely get shorter. Speed gets slower, and and balance isn't as good. So, and I would challenge people, depending on where they're at, maybe either take a pull cart or carry their bag for 9 holes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Throw that in there once a week, or even once a month, once every couple of weeks, because you get that physical difference. I mean, you're walking 3 holes, you're like, I feel totally different than if I was in a cart. And it's a great way to go. It's a great way to play golf. Like, can you imagine like 5, 6 o'clock going out? You have half of your golf bag. You have half of your clubs, and you're out there, whether you're playing with friends or by yourself. That's good for the soul. So I would tell people, try that every once in a while.
Yeah, I personally, when COVID was going around, I thought it was the best thing ever, because you got to walk at every golf course you wanted to. Yeah. I mean, I bought a push cart. I was walking all the time, and I think it enhances the experience, and it gets you more enjoying the golf course more, instead of hopping in cart and then like the golf course just flashes by. You're like, wait a minute, what just happened?
Yeah,
I'm at my ball already. So, and it gives you the chance, if you do hit a bad shot, you can calm yourself down by, walking up to your ball just a little bit. And
it's a great way to go. I'll tell you, when I was competing on PGA Tour, I found myself in November, December, January, doing like running on the golf course. So I would do 9 holes. I'd have 4 clubs, and kind of like that speed golf.
Yeah.
One of my trainers told me to do that, not only for the physical fitness, because Jacksonville, it's typically 40, 50 degrees out. So that was kind of a nice change of pace. I'd take 4 clubs and I'd go run. And what I found out was, on the 3rd hole, 4th hole, 5th hole, my heart rate was like 160, 180. I had a heart rate monitor on, and it was going off the charts.
Right.
And then you'd have to hit like a 6-iron and try and hit the green. And that was the same feeling that I could replicate, is is playing in a tour event.
That's cool.
So not only did I get the physical, but I got the mental training of, so when I go played in the Hawaii, the Sony, the Bob Hope tournament, the Waste Management, and I'm on that 16th hole and I've got a 7-iron and my heart rate starts going up, I'm like, I've already been there. So that was great training. And for the crazy people out there that want to try that, you could do it for 4 or 5 holes late in the evening when no one's around. It's a great experience to try that.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Agreed.
If you had to leave our listeners, our viewers, with one last kind of thing about playing in a Pro-Am, or if that's something that they have the opportunity to do, what would it be?
What would I suggest to them?
Yeah, just one. The main thing that comes to mind. If you were leaving them with one thing, what would it be?
I would say the overall experience, just appreciate everything because it's a special environment. And big picture, remember that at every tour event, whether it's a Korn Ferry event, an LPGA event, a Symetra Tour, PGA Tour, Champions Tour, at every tour event, they're raising money for charity. So that's the number one winner. So big picture, everyone's there to raise money for charities. So when the tournament leaves, the charities for the year benefit. So I would say thank people for volunteering. That would be my gist. People are volunteering out there all week. They're giving their time. And I would just say be a little bit mindful of thanking people that are volunteering to make that experience nice for everyone.
I think that's fantastic. If people want to learn more about the Len Mattiace Foundation, if they'd like to get involved, what's the best way for them to find you guys?
We've got thanks, Jesse. We've got 2 ways, lenmattiace.com, and we have a brand new, and then you click foundation. And then we have a website totally designated for our foundation. It's lenmattiacefoundation.org. And it's a brand new website, and we'll be updating that with all the things that we're doing. So really appreciate being on here with you guys.
Absolutely. We appreciate you joining us. We'll make sure that there are links to your foundation too below this interview when we put it out. And Len, I thank you as always for joining me. It's always a pleasure to see you. Wes, thank you so much for joining. This was awesome. And
thank you.
And talk to you again down the road.
Thank you, guys.
Sir. Have a great one, Len.
Bye-bye.